Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no! Son of a bitch.
You get your two?
Yeah. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course, and today we're going to take a brief look at two of the new maps. We can see the first one here, Estuary, and then we'll also jump over to Neighbors, I believe that other one is called. Two interesting maps, and then we're going to jump over to a battle in the Roon and talk about some of the other improvements that have been made in the new patch. So far I'm enjoying the new patch. I don't have any issues with it, or major issues with it as of yet anyway. We're just taking a look here at Estuary. Now I like this map. This map sort of has a almost a Two Brothers meets Shattered, I guess you could say, if we're looking at the mini-map, right? I mean, we've got similar cap zones as Two Brothers would have laid out, north, south, east, west, and then we do have some islands there in the middle, but the islands obviously are opened up, so it presents nice opportunities for some channel maneuvers, right? And you sort of get that in Shattered as well, which in fact is the battle we're going to take a look at later on. But anyway, I do enjoy this. I mean, you can see him in the buddy, and, you know, just trying to get the victory here so I can get my points on it, because obviously I want to start going up the Russian cruiser line a little more. In the meantime, I am still saving for the Hindenburg. I think I'm at like 7.7 million credits. We'll see it anyway at the end of the video when it goes back into port, I guess. But anyway, Estuary, and I really like the fact actually that Wargaming has added. I think it was 5 new maps this patch. Which is really nice, because maps are, you know, sort of the the bread and butter here. Well, the backbone, I guess, of the game. The ships are probably the bread and butter, but you need to have really good maps to actually take your ships out and enjoy them in, right? And the maps themselves is not enough that they're just new maps with you know, new gonky features. They actually do have to have some sort of strategic value, and that's what I really liked about this Estuary map. Was the, you know, again, going back into the channels, I really think in all these little islands that are dotted around, I mean, this really makes for some interesting gameplay here. And in fact, now that we're talking about it with the little islands, it almost looks like Land of Fire, doesn't it? Sort of like that map a little. More islands in it, obviously, right? And it's not so fiery, but it does, yeah, sort of has a feel to it. But I do enjoy this map. And you can see here, right, like looking around, I mean, the enemy ships are within my firing distance, but because of all these islands that we have in the way, I'm not necessarily able to get clean shots off. I really have to time my shots and, you know, take advantage of when the enemies are going to be coming out from behind an island, or with the fact that maybe I can shoot over the island. As well, you can see there on the indicator, the nice little feature that they added I really enjoy. It tells you now when your shells are going to collide with terrain, so that you don't have to, you know, come out of your scoped view to figure out where you are versus the island. You can kind of get a general sense. Now, the system, it's not 100% perfect, because I had an instant where, you know, I was in my Roon, and my forward turret on the bow, it wasn't going to be able to clear the island. But my rear turrets were, and the indicator, obviously, because one turret isn't going to clear the island, it tells you that, you know, no, it's not going to be able to go. But I did it anyway, and it worked out. I mean, that's just one instant. Anyway, moving into the next new map here that I got onto, Neighbors. Now, this is another interesting map. It's a higher tier map, obviously. You can see, right, a tier 6 to 8 map, I believe, or maybe it's a 7 to 8. No, it must be 6 to 8 level. Anyway, nice map as well, right? It's kind of open. I mean, you can see the major land masses there on the minimap are really to the northwest and the southeast, and they don't really provide any sort of value. And maybe to the aircraft carriers down there at the south, who might spawn down there right to the southeast, maybe to them, but other than that, just aesthetics. But what I do enjoy about this map is it almost has a New Dawn feel to me anyway, where, you know, you've got some open water here, but you do also have some pretty critically important land masses to utilize in terms of cover, right? I mean, C to the north here gets a number of smaller islands sort of dotted around the place, and then you can look down there to the south, and A down there gets 3 larger islands that really make the gameplay interesting, because it's not like, you know, you're sort of going into one cap zone and you're going to have to cap it and or defend it the same way that you would cap any of the other cap zones, right? They're all sort of different in their own way. Even the B cap zone it's sheltered from C. So if you're the opposite team there that's spawning in the south, you might want to go for A and take B, because then you have at least that cover to shelter you from C if the enemy takes C. It might set up some good ambush opportunities there for your destroyers. But likewise as well, if your team, like in this instance here, we are going for C, if we take C and then B, we can also use that island to sort of put up a nice defense against the enemies who are trying to get into B, right? Because you can be behind the island and sort of, coming out and firing at the enemies at opportune times and whatnot. So really interesting to see this, these new maps that actually have some sort of depth to them, right? It's not just putting out new maps for the sake of new maps, at least the new maps that I have been on. I really want to try, I haven't gotten it yet, but I really want to try Iwo Jima. I think that was one of the new maps, and I've heard that it's, basically open water, and I do really want to see that. I think that is going to be an interesting map, because, I have never made it a secret. I actually enjoy the ocean map. I don't think that there is anything wrong with fighting on the open ocean like that, and in fact, I really enjoy fighting on the open ocean when I am in my destroyers, especially my Japanese destroyers. I think it's fantastic, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, getting closer into C here. These two battles that we saw right off the bat didn't really end well for me, but still interesting to see the new maps. And one thing too that I'm really liking is the increased AA armament of a lot of the higher tier cruisers. I'm really enjoying that. I don't think there's anything too bad at all. The changes that they made to the Admiral Hipper, for example, right? They added the Sea hull to the Admiral Hipper, gave her the Atlantic bow finally, and put on the cap on the funnel there as well. I think the Hipper now it was always a great ship. I just think it's that much better. I noticed on my Imagi there's a lot better AA, and aesthetically as well. The Imagi actually looks more like the pictures that Wargaming puts out of the Imagi, and that there's AA emplacements on top of some of the turrets, main batteries there. So that was interesting to see as well. And just other little improvements here as well that they made. You can see the mini-map, right? We've been talking about the mini-map this whole time, but I really like the information that is being displayed on the mini-map now, just in the base game, right? We don't have to mod it anymore to get this stuff, to see how far away am I going to be detected, right? What is my detection radius? What is my torpedo radius? What are my main battery firing? What is my main battery firing distance, right? As well. So really good, easy stuff to be able to just glance at the minimap and sort of absorb that information and then interpret it and use it however you will. But it's nice to see this in the base game. One thing I'm still missing in the base game, obviously, is the damage counter. Really want the damage counter in the base game. I'm just waiting for Aslans to come out now so I can get my damage counter back, but once that happens, I'll be more than happy and content with this. I think it's great. So moving into the actual battle here for the day, you can see that we are on Shattered, and I am in my Roon. Obviously taking out the Roon as much as I can, right, whenever I'm playing here, to make sure that I'm grinding my way towards the Hindenburg, because God, I want that Hindenburg. Once the Hindenburg is gotten, I don't know what I'm going to go for in terms of tier 10. I think it's probably time that I get a higher tier American destroyer, maybe, we'll see, maybe. Anyway, we are on Shattered, so good old Shattered here, and it's nice again, seeing the minimap improvements. You can really see the power too with it, in terms of like looking at the different radii there on the minimap. The power of the Roon, right? Just the reaching effect that the Roon has on the battlefield here. Now this was a fairly slow match at the beginning, frankly. You can see I did spawn over here on the east side, so my general plan, and I figured that my destroyers were going to go up the east, was to sort of, boat towards the east here, see what happens on the east side, and then judge it from there. If there are a whole lot of enemies, we'll maybe provide some sort of defense or heavy support to my destroyers, as hopefully my destroyers would take out the enemy ships, and then maybe continue the push, or, go help over there on the west, depending what happens, because there are a number of destroyers in this battle, and because the Roon is at tier 9, we do have some higher tier destroyers. Specifically, I think there's a Khabarovsk on the enemy team, and the Khabarovsk at tier 10 is a really great destroyer. There's some really good advantages of having that destroyer. But anyway, you can see again, the nice little indicator, right, as well. A little mountain sign. I think that's a great improvement. Even though, you know, it's not 100% perfect. In the example I gave earlier, it wasn't wrong, right? The indicator wasn't wrong, because technically one of my batteries wasn't going to fire over that mountain. It just wasn't maybe as accurate as it could have been. But we do see that my destroyers are pushing up the east side, so this is fantastic. This is where I plan to go anyway. We do have some aircraft support here as well. We've got an ally aircraft carrier in terms of Lexington versus, of course, the enemy Lexington as well. So a pretty even matchup for aircraft carriers there, in fact. But getting to the AA armament, the Roon. The Roon got a really nice buff to her AA armament. I mean, you can see that I still do have the sonar ability on her right now. And that's because basically the modules that I've purchased for the Roon focus primarily on the primary armament of the Roon itself. I never saw the need to get the defensive fire ability. I just didn't think it would be worth it, given that the old status of the AA armament on the German ships was basically, you know, it was better than the Japanese. But still wasn't as powerful as the Americans or the Russians, right? You wouldn't be able to rely on a single German cruiser to provide your AA support. If we're looking at Tier 9 and below, the Hindenburg at Tier 10 has had some pretty good AA for a little while now. But anyway, nowadays with the new patch, the AA is something to behold on this ship. And keep in mind, as the battle develops here, that I don't have any sort of AA improvements on the ship whatsoever. It's, you know, just stock AA is what I've got, and maybe my commander, because, you know, I took some commander abilities that would increase my main battery, and maybe that might fall over to the AA guns. I don't know, whatever. But basically stock AA on her right now. So you can see as well, I mean, you know, playing it fairly cautious here. Pretty surprised that I haven't come across any enemies as of yet, and not really willing to push too far ahead of my destroyers, right? Because it's the destroyers that I'm counting on to do my spotting here. I have a fighter plane, not a spotter plane, so I'm not going to get, you know, a quick heads up as to enemy ships off in the horizon until they come into their detection range. Enemy fighters are overhead, so immediately we're just going to, well, enemy fighters and dive bombers, we're immediately going to engage these guys and try and shoot these guys down as quick as possible, right? You can see they made a run at one of my allied destroyers, but I was pretty close to the allied destroyer, so it wasn't really that big of a deal. I was able to swoop in there and, you know, defend the allied destroyer, which I was pretty happy about, because that's, you know, really the ideal situation for a cruiser there. So we do spot the enemy Fletcher off in the distance, and I quickly start to line up some shots here on the Fletcher. I mean, I don't expect these to hit, and I think they were armor piercing that I cleared out of the barrel. I got the high explosive loaded now, and yeah, nothing hit there. It was close, but it just didn't cut it. But you can see again, we still haven't come up across a whole lot of enemy resistance over here on this side. In fact, there's, you know, really nothing over on this side except for the Fletcher right now. So, you know, I'm not going to just charge forward at this point in time, but I do have an Izumo with me. And I figure, you know, I'm just going to continue to do a cautious advance here. We are coming up, you know, towards the middle, you know, kind of, you can see I'm pointed in the direction of the middle of the map where the channels meet, right? And you can see that there is, in fact, an enemy destroyer there. So I really wanted to keep this in mind as well. I didn't want to get myself into a situation where I was focused too heavily on the Fletcher and where the Fletcher could be, and start forgetting about the other enemy destroyers and have one of them come in, you know, maybe from the port side, do a sneaky strike and kill me. That would just be tragic, and I would hate that. But keeping all of the enemy ships around me in mind now. I mean, I don't see the Fletcher anymore, obviously, but I'm not spotted by the Fletcher anymore either. There we go, I am spotted now, so, you know, a bit of a concern here. I did pop my acoustic sonar ability, but it hasn't really spotted the enemy destroyers yet, but, you know, luckily I'm going to be able to see incoming torpedoes, so that's always good. I'll be able to dodge them. Still have my ally Izumo with me. Unfortunately, though, at one point in time, I'm not sure if he mentioned it as of yet, but the Izumo realizes, or at least comments, that he was on the wrong side of the map, which, you know, maybe, I guess, considering all of the fighting right now is happening over there in the west, it would have been nice to have the Izumo continue forward with us. I mean, it worked out anyway for us in the end, but still would have been nice to have the heavy support there with us. Anyway, we see the Fletcher once again. I take off a shot, but yeah, the damn mountain's in the way. I'm lining up some torpedoes, just checking it out. Notice that the Fletcher launched both torpedo launchers, so we know that the Fletcher is reloading torpedoes right now, so we don't have to worry about that at this point in time. And both launched towards the Izumo, so I don't have to worry about getting hit. And these, you know, we've already spotted the torpedoes, so it's up to the Izumo at this point in time to take any sort of evasive action to prevent any torpedoes from hitting him. I know that the Fletcher is in this smoke. At least I assume that the Fletcher would be in this smoke, and I know that its torpedoes are in a reload, so I'm just setting sail right for the smoke. My whole plan in here was to either get crazy close to the Fletcher and take him down, or if I had to, I was going to ram him. I was going to risk it. I figured it's on full health. It's a destroyer. I'm a pretty big cruiser. Hopefully I'd be able to take take a hit like that and survive. To my surprise, though, I mean, more enemy aircraft are coming in, so I'm selecting the aircraft to concentrate fire, and you can see immediately, right, I start shooting down enemy aircraft, right, and I'm even rattling the crew enough and taking some evasive maneuver here too, that I don't actually get hit by any bombs here, which was nice. But as we're getting closer into the smoke, Fletcher's not here. I mean, this player obviously is not dumb, or at least didn't want to, take on a confrontation with a Roon without having any torpedoes, and decided to get the hell out of here. So, alright, the Fletcher is gone. I'm not going to chase down the Fletcher, right? I'm really close to the enemy base. The Izumo did turn around, but I do still have some friendly destroyers in and around me who hopefully are going to be able to come in here and support me at the enemy base. I'm not looking to completely encircle the enemy right now because, I can't encircle the enemy if it's just me who's doing the encircling. I'd need some other ships with me as well, but at the very least what I can do is get into the enemy base, start capping it, and start putting the pressure on the enemy to make a choice, right? Are they going to, they're going to have to split their forces and come back and defend the base, or are they just going to continually advance to our base and allow me to cap out their base? So, those are basically the options that the enemy is going to have to work with here. And as long as I use the cover that I have available, right, not going beyond this island, because once I go beyond the island, I'm completely open to any enemy guns, because obviously, we spot a few ships there on the minimap, but that is not all of the enemy ships, right? We know that there are more ships by just looking at how many enemy ships are remaining, so I know that probably and most definitely there are some enemy ships beyond that island that I don't see, and who would have clean shots into me and be able to do a whole bunch of damage, and that is not something I want. So there we go. I've moved into the cap. We start capping it. We can see I have an ally destroyer with me here as well, so that's fantastic. I have some sort of support here. The two of us are going to start capping this point. And the fact that it's a destroyer with me as well is really awesome, because the destroyer obviously has a lower detectability than I do, so hopefully I'll be able to absorb a few shots for the destroyer while the destroyer continues to cap and continue to put that pressure on the enemy. And we do see another allied destroyer there off in the distance now. I was trying to cautiously get over here and alleviate some of the pressure, but again, I'm not willing to risk it all just to save a friendly destroyer, and that friendly destroyer is gone now, but really paid off not going beyond the island. We do have enemy Iowa off in the distance, so I'm just going to immediately start engaging this Iowa with my armor piercing and racking up some decent damage here on him. We do see an enemy Thotgor coming close here as well, so this Thotgor sailing in a straight line. Why not just send over a few shots at that Thotgor? In the meantime, my allied destroyer is, still in the base with me, launching off torpedoes, which is fantastic. If my allied destroyer is spotted, it's not for long. My allied destroyer is pretty on top of things. We do have more enemy planes on the way in. I continue to put shots out. I lose sight of the enemy Thotgor, but I do have this enemy Hipper that pops up, so I'm going to start putting shots into the Hipper here, and then the Thotgor pops back up, and I'm trying to focus on the Thotgor, right, because it's the Thotgor that is really giving me a nice broadside to be able to fire into. The Hipper is sort of coming at me at an angle, and the Hipper does have some decent armor on her, and it's most likely that's just going to result in my ship's shots ricocheting off. In addition, we do have the Iowa still, who is on really low health. One salvo into that Iowa, and I should be able to take the Iowa down. The enemy Thotgor did take some torpedoes there, at least one, I believe, and that resulted in that player losing so much hit points. And again, I'm just making use of my cover. I know that the enemy ships that are beyond this island are in fairly low health, especially the Iowa being the heaviest hitter there, but I'm still not willing to start absorbing shots from these players as of yet, right? My team is sort of adjusting to what took place with the enemies coming back to sort of defend the base. Right there, you can see they're still sort of regrouping down there, and then eventually what I'm hoping that they're going to do is they're going to start pushing up rapidly, and then we'll have a decent encirclement anyway. Just start taking down these enemy ships as quick as we can. So there's the Iowa, so I'm going to try and get some shots off to the Iowa. The Iowa I think had like 5,200 hit points, so if I can hit that Iowa, there we go, take down the Iowa, fantastic. So we still do have the Thotgor. The Thotgor's not gone as of yet, and the enemy Admiral Hipper to deal with as well. And then we do see this Des Moines off in the distance. Now I was pretty concerned about this Des Moines, frankly, because I mean, you know, the rapid fire guns of the Des Moines, you cannot underestimate the Des Moines. And it was said, you know, I was playing last night in TeamSpeak and whatnot, that the longer you leave the Des Moines alive, the more damage that ship is just going to continuously rack up. And this is so true, so true. So I was really concerned about the Des Moines, but the Hipper gave me a really nice broadside, and I just couldn't let that go. So put a salvo into him, did about 6,200 damage there, so that's pretty good. We do see the enemy Thotgor off in the distance, right, so that's the same Thotgor, so we're going to try and put some shots into that player, finish that player off, and get those guns gone. Continue to take some shots here from some of the enemy ships, but really mitigating some of the damage at this point in time, so it's not too bad. And we can see the Admiral Hipper off the distance, and, you know, good time to just sort of point out, you can see some of the changes in terms of the Admiral Hipper's silhouette now that they made. I was hoping to get an Admiral Hipper video up here, just so we can take a look at some of the changes on her, but that'll come. I didn't really have any good games in her, so whatever. More enemy ships on the way, and you can see Hipper isn't giving me a nice broadside anymore, so I am going to be focusing on the Des Moines right now, trying to get that Des Moines down. And you can see as well that I am starting to take a bit of damage, right? I'm below 50% health. I'm still waiting on the my repair here, so that's recently been used, so I have a good bit of time to wait before that's going to be up. But we do have the Hipper, who is almost dead, and I got some nice shots into him. Des Moines is giving me a nice broadside, though I really can't. I didn't want to give it up, just in case I get, you know, that lucky Citadel on the Des Moines or something. I didn't want to pass up that opportunity, and I mean, the Hipper is going to do a whole bunch of damage to me, granted, but by conserving some of my hit points there, right, I was able to absorb some of those shots, we'll say. Makes me sound good anyway. Put a nice salvo into the Hipper there, did a bit of damage, and then some allied shots come in just after my second salvo and take out the Hipper. So fantastic, we don't have to deal with the Hipper. The Des Moines is giving me an excellent broadside here, and we can take a look. It's only the Des Moines and the enemy Lexington remaining. My team has managed to pull this off, so that's pretty fantastic. Get a really nice salvo there into the Des Moines, do a bit of damage. We still are under attack from these enemy aircraft, but look at the amount of enemy aircraft that I've managed to rack up here. And again, this is just, you know, stock AA. I don't have any sort of AA modules button on the ship at all. The captain isn't focused on AA at all. So I was really impressed with with just the increase in AA armament of the Roon and of the Admiral Hipper as well. Really impressed, and I can't wait to you know, just test out some more things here with the patch, because this patch was really a lot of, I mean, there were the big ticket items, the maps, and some of the changes that they made to the economy in terms of compatibility and cross-platforming stuff, right? You can piece that one together. Those weren't the right words, but whatever. You know, they did those sort of things, but it's a lot of little things too, like the mini-map, the little indicators now as well, just to give you a better sense of what is going on around your ship while you're focused in trying to get, you know, that really nice shot off. Which is nice to see anyway. So all we have left is the Lexington. I do have the Lexington coming up within my range here, so we are going to start firing off the Lexington, hopefully getting maybe just a few hits. I don't have any grandiose dreams of, you know, doing all the damage and getting the kill here. I just really was happy at this point in time with the way the battle progressed. It was quite nice to see, and I was so surprised too to see that, you know, there was no ships except that Fletcher, no ships over here on the east to oppose my advance, basically. And I was also very happy with my allied destroyers who stuck around, right? Very nice to see and to have that sort of support. I always love playing cruiser and destroyer, because I find I can do more supporting a destroyer as a cruiser than I can supporting a battleship as a cruiser. But anyway, battle is over. Another nice new thing here is we can see that the damage is added up for us, right? No battle counter in game, but still nice to see. Quick glance, so 65,000 damage, that's not too bad. 23 enemy planes shot down, couldn't believe it. Managed the one Citadel and the one enemy kill, so decent enough. 3rd overall, which wasn't too bad at all, especially considering the slow start there at the beginning. And this whole rework system, right, just the way it displays the information to us, is a lot more straightforward, I find. Easier on the eyes. You don't have to look around for something. It's just presented in a better manner, I find. So nice to see as well, and you can easily glance at it. This is what I got. Fantastic. So not too bad at all, and again, the experience earned, 5,400, goes towards the Hindenburg, right? We can see it there, just below 200,000 experience now, so getting really close to the Hindenburg, and what is that, 7.9 million credits? So that's decent. But anyway, that is today's video. I hope you guys are enjoying the new changes to the patch, changes to the game since the patch. Obviously, let me know in the video comments section below. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you were not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.